Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another edition of eHeroes. Today's episode is 198, and I'm bringing on this amazing gentleman. His name is Morty Hodge, and we're going to talk about personal growth and leadership. Now, Morty does own an impressive company, and we'll get into that. But I just want to say thank you, for Morty, for being here, and I think the audience is going to get some really great, insightful nuggets. And so, thanks.
I'm happy to be here, Rob. Thank you for having me on as a guest.
I like I said off air, I watched your company over the last few years. The growth is phenomenal. There has been some, I think COVID really hurt a lot of the things that we as marketers do, not only for customers, but for the entire world. But you're in the manufacturing, or you're kind of in the manufacturing arena, although you don't manufacturing anything that you know shirts or glasses or whatnot, but you provide valuable background to all these companies, and to me that's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, what we do is we sell and service industrial equipment. 80% of our customers are manufacturers here in the US, specifically in the Southeast. So I own Atlanta Compressor, and we have branches that we individually name: Nashville Compressor, Charlotte Compressor, Greenville Compressor, but they're all under the Atlanta Compressor umbrella.
Hmm.
We just can't do business in Tennessee and the Carolinas as Atlanta Compressor. So we have these different branches. But what we do is we sell and service industrial equipment to manufacturing and other industrial type companies. And what I always try to tell people is compressed air to these companies is a utility.
Right.
It's the fourth utility. You have electricity, you have gas, you have water, and then they need compressed air. They
Hmm.
can do without the internet, and they can do without the phones.
Right.
But if the compressor fails or they don't have compressed air, we have to understand that every single manufacturing facility in the world is 100% shut down, or their production is severely hampered. And that's what we do. Is we don't sell compressors and vacuums; we sell peace of mind.
Hmm.
Right? We go in there, and our job's to keep them running, and we take that very, very seriously. I'm very passionate about the United States. I'm very passionate because I understand that manufacturing is what makes this country great. In the past, currently, and in the future, we need to do a better job of reshoring some of these manufacturing jobs, bringing them back to the United States. And we can do that. And that's a key component of what we do as a company, is provide these support services and equipment to keep manufacturing running in the US.
Yeah.
And we love it.
In the 50s, the 40s and 50s, my grandfather was a master mechanic, and back then they were treated with the utmost respect. They got paid great, and then somewhere in between then and now, their pay really never went up. But now you doctors and lawyers, they're making all kinds of money. But the master mechanics are the people that provide the momentum for everything to be built on, and their salary is horrible. And I think we need to bring that back. We need to reward these people for their skill set. And
Yeah, and it's more than just the pay.
mhm.
It's this the stigmatism of, we look up to doctors and lawyers because that's a prestigious job, but we look down at the plumbers and the electricians and the guy on the manufacturing floor. Why is that? That mentality has got to shift. You're exactly right. Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, I'm from Detroit originally. That hence my love for manufacturing. That was a mecca. And
Mhm.
Henry Ford started to pay people $5 a day. But more importantly, that was a well respected profession. You were doing something that was purposeful, giving people the ability to have transportation and to open up trade routes and grow communities because of transportation. And that meant something to the US.
Mhm.
And we can't look down at people wanting to get into the trades or go to trade school. That should be looked at as just as important as a 4-year university
Right.
and just as honorable.
Yeah, yeah, and I watched the video that you put out. I guess it was yesterday, and as you're panning around and kind of introducing your staff, and allowing them to kind of voice what they thought was these awesome keywords that kept them motivated. That really inspired me, because not a lot of companies put credence in their employees. They rather say, hey, I'm the CEO, whatever I say goes. And here you're saying, hey, my staff is equally as important as I am. And to me, that is a true sign of a leader.
I am so honored to work with these folks. They are the soul of our company and the lifeblood. I play a small part in this amazing culture that we have. And I'm impressed every day I show up. These people are smarter than me. They're more qualified than I am. And I love it. I love to watch light bulbs go off and them solve problems and them take care of customers. And they're innovative and creative. And it's impressive. And I'm humbled and honored to be a part of it.
You mentioned culture, and that both of us are big fans of Disney and that whole culture that Walt Disney created. And I think every time that I go to Disney or you go to Disney, we're always texting each other and, hey, look, let's, and it's just funny. But a lot of people don't get it. They don't say, hey, well, Rob, you're like 50 some years old. Why are you still going to Disney? Because every time I go, I get inspired to do something bigger, grander, and it pushes me, and it provide, and I look at the culture that is Disney by itself, and then I look at you, and you're doing the same thing. You're creating that culture with your employees, your staff, your team members, and to me that is the ultimate compliment.
Thank you. Somebody asked me once what culture was. They truly didn't understand the term culture. What do you mean by culture? And my answer is the answer I still use today. It is tangible. It's what you can feel in the air when you're you walk into a company, or you walk in the presence of one of their team members, the emails you receive, the phone calls, you can feel a difference. And that is the culture. And that's what we focus on building. We use purpose, values, and mission is how we've set our company up. And that is our vision. It's a 3-in-1 vision. And our purpose is to provide peace of mind. Our core values are roadblocks. We have 10 core values, and they're not roadblocks. I'm sorry. They're kind of the path, the opposite of roadblocks. They're the path that we use to complete our mission. It kind of helps keep us on the path, right? The narrow. And there's things like we do what we say we'll do, and we are resourceful and find a way, and we hold each other accountable, and we practice extreme ownership. But the very first core value is culture is the key to our success. And it's number one for a reason. We know that we can have all these great, we think we're intelligent sometimes, and we'll come up with these fantastic strategies and these great tactics of how we're going to go to market and how we're going to continue to grow and scale. And we know, number one, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And if we don't have that fantastic culture where they're included in part of the decision making and helping us solve these awesome objections and obstacles we have, we're not going to be able to accomplish anything.
Yeah. And I guess 2 years ago when COVID hit, a lot of your clients felt the impact. You felt the impact, but instead of giving up, you drove even faster. You drove even stronger, and you said, look, not only am I going to restore and make my company stronger, but I'm going to help all my clients do the same thing. And now I'm looking at you going, wow, you're just out of this gate. You're just keep on, plowing through, and now Inc. magazine has rewarded you with this awesome, prestigious, write up, and it's just that's a testament.
Yeah, the Inc. magazine award was 2022 Best Workplaces in America. And you have all kinds of lists, Fortune 100, Fortune 500, 5,000, fastest growing companies. Those are great. But to win this award of Best Workplaces in America, Inc. magazine had 10,000-ish companies apply for this, and they selected 475.
Wow.
And we're one of them. And you look at these other companies on the list, and I'm in awe that we're even part of the conversation. A little company out of North Georgia, right? Atlanta Compressor. And once again, it goes back to our team.
Mhm.
They nominated us. They had to go through the process is unbelievable, by the way. The hoops you have to jump through and the things you have to do is insane. They want to see, financials, and they want to dig into the company and the pay and the benefits. And they have a third party that interviews all your team members and surveys and essays and all these hoops that you have to jump through. And so they're ultimately the ones that got us nominated. I was just, once again, just one out of 30-ish team members that did filled out my survey and did my interview. And so they had to all be in alignment and agreement that this is who we are authentically. And Inc. magazine saw that, recognized that, and selected us as a winner. And I couldn't be more humbled.
Yeah, I watched that video and it was like, wow, I'm just honored to be able to interview you, because to me that's kind of elevating you, but it's also telling your clients, hey, you know what? This is why we do what we do. And it's not about awards. I mean, awards are great, but ultimately it's my staff, your staff and the customers that mean the most.
Agreed. God is good all the time. That's all I can say, and I'm just blessed more than I deserve.
Yeah. So one of the things that I took from the video was the BHAGs, and a lot of people don't understand the concept, and I'll let you kind of jump in and kind of explain. But I think that is one of the things that help make you a little different.
Yeah, I believe it was Jim Collins. And for all your entrepreneurs listening to the show, if you haven't read a Jim Collins book, right after you finish all of Rob's book, please read Jim Collins, all of his books, because I think it was in Good to Great. He introduced the concept of BHAG, and I could be wrong. Jim, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. He's not listening to me. And no, but anyway, he came up with the concept of BHAG, which is big, hairy, audacious goal. It's shooting for the stars, and how he says it's a 5 or 10-year mission. And if you look at the numbers and the metrics you want to hit, and if it doesn't make you a little bit queasy because you don't have all the answers, it's not a BHAG, right? It's just a goal. And so we set these BHAGs, these big outrageous goals, and a lot of times we hit them, but sometimes we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've realized as we've scaled up as a company is sometimes we have to pause and we have to look back at how far we've come, not necessarily how far did we fall short of a particular goal, because that's a negative, right? That makes you kind of feel bad. But if you can pause and you can turn around and look back at where you started and where you are now, you can use that positivity and that good feeling to motivate you and push forward to the next goal. And it's hard to do that as an entrepreneur, right? Because we're always pushing, grinding. But there are moments in time, there's significant events that do happen that gives you a moment to pause and reflect. And that's exactly what Inc. magazine did for me. I'm a huge subscriber. I've been a fan of Inc. magazine for over a decade. And for them, as a young entrepreneur reading this magazine, to be in there one day really wasn't even a dream of mine. I never would have thought it was possible. So it did. It gave me and my family a moment to reflect on where we've come from, where we came from, and the obstacles we've overcome to get to where we're at. And it's a celebration for us. It's a celebration for my family, but most importantly, this is an award for our team.
Yeah, I mean, every time I have a BHAG, this big outrageous goal, a lot of people just want to be involved. If I just have an average goal, nobody cares. But the bigger the goal, everybody says, "Hey, Rob, I want to get behind you. I want to do this. I want to help you." And for you, it was your employees jumped on it. They said, "Let's just do it. Let's go. Let's take this wherever it can go." And to me, it was just like, again, I look at your staff and I'm like, wow, they stand behind you 100%.
Yeah, and I do with them too, right? They know that I have their backs and I've taken care of them. And we all want to deliver on our purpose and provide peace of mind. And we call it a vision, and the BHAG's just one component of it. But you're right, the BHAG and the vision as a whole becomes a talent beacon for us.
Hmm.
When new team members and even new vendors and new customers, when they look at what we're trying to do and the purpose that we're trying to live and the values that we follow, it is attractive to them and they do get excited about it and people want to join our team. And like I said, team members love working for us and customers love doing business with us.
Yeah.
And it really centralizes around our vision, which is the BHAGs part of that.
Yeah. So how do you relax? I mean, I know that you got 4 locations. You're always busy, but
Well, here's the thing. First of all, a lot of people talk about work-life balance, and I don't subscribe to that. I personally love what I do. I
Mhm.
love it so much that it is my hobby. You've heard, everyone's heard, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And so, if I enjoy what I do, it's also how I make money. It's how we, fill our purpose, but it's also my relaxing time. It's something I enjoy. So there's that. But we do. I have a daughter that works at Disney, so we do go on some vacations. We get down to Disney. Probably more frequently than most people, just because my daughter works there. We want to visit her and spend time with her.
Mhm.
And let's be honest, she gets us in for free, right? That's a huge, huge bonus. So I love Disney. I've loved Disney since I was a little kid. And you're right. As a child, it was the cartoons and the movies that attracted you. And as I got older and turned, well, I was always an entrepreneur, but
Mhm.
as I got old enough to be able to practice being an entrepreneur, Disney, Walt Disney in particular, is an inspirational story
Mhm.
to us all. And most people do know the stories. And one of the cool things is, you walk into Disney, it's a fully immersive culture and experience like ours. You can feel it
Mhm.
around you. It's tangible. Um, when they have a section under construction at Disney, and you'll know what I'm talking about, they have these boards up, these walls, and every so many feet they have a plaque,
Mhm.
and it's a Disney quote
Mhm.
about vision, about purpose, about providing experience. And that I love when sections are under construction because I get to read them.
Well, I think I took a whole bunch of pictures of them the last time I was there, just so I could be reminded of them. And but people take that for granted, and they go to these parks and they don't immerse themselves. And I think sometimes it's they want to do as much as they can while they're there. And for me, it was I want to lower my expectation because when I'm there, I want to experience something new. And, you know, sometimes I'm standing in line at a ride, and it could be a 40-minute wait, it could be a 3-hour wait. I don't care how long it is. You know, I just look around, I look at the people, I look at, what they're doing, how they're feeling. And sometimes you can pick up on that emotion and just click like that and you can change it how they're feeling just with a joke or something. And you know, to me that's kind of how I do my books too. I just want people to snap out of their kind of their grumpiness and start to laugh again. And I think laughter is the best way to help people uh, live life a little bit differently.
Amen.
But I like I said, when I go to Disney, I look at different things because there's nothing that you can do in a whole week. There's so much. I mean, I could probably spend a whole year there and never experience everything there is to do. And to me, that's the ultimate way to build your business, to make it so that customers need to keep coming back to experience more of you.
Well, one of the things I love about Disney is his show before the show, I call it, which is while you're waiting in line,
Mhm.
right? Which was an objection for them that they had to overcome. How do we get people to come to the parks? Well, we have these long lines. How do we get that? We get them to ride the rides. Well, we have these long lines. How do we overcome that? Well, how can we add value of waiting in line? And so they have these different props, and they invest in the environment. And they invest in the immersive experience for each individual ride. The Haunted Mansion, waiting in line. It's very cool. Graveyards and different fun things. If you go to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, you walk through the forest with these lanterns and the sounds and the
Mhm.
smells. They're using all the senses. They kind of put on a show before the show. But as a business, they had objections they had to overcome, and they brought in brilliant people to help them overcome those obstacles. And then they constantly are innovating, creating new ideas because they have a culture of adding more value to the customer experience. And that's exactly what every company in the world needs to do, is have a culture where your team members are constantly seeking and innovating new ways to provide more value to your customers. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lesson we can all take away from Disney and going and experiencing what he's created. And think about it. He's been dead for how long? And this vision that he set was so powerful and so strong and so purpose driven. And the core values he laid out are still being honored today because they make sense now like they did years ago. And that vision can carried on for generations after he's gone. And that's the kind of businesses we all need to be focused on building, is how can we provide value and how can we sustain?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about legacy. And so I look at your business right now, and maybe it's not as old as Disney, but and hopefully you don't pass for another 100 years because you're still young. But when people look at Atlanta Compressor down the road, they're not going to always look at Atlanta Compressor. They're going to look at, what did Morty Hodge do? What was his legacy? What did he? And then they're going to look at the employees, and they're going to deep dive in and make a case study out of it. And that's the thing that every business should be concerned about. It's not just create a business and hopefully you make some money. What are you going to pass on to the next generation or the one after that? I mean, what's that footprint going to look like? And I think you're on the right track.
All young entrepreneurs, we all think that, let's start a business so I can make more money and have more free time. And then there's two things you don't have when you start a business, is more money and more free time. Yeah, and you have to earn that, right? And you earn that by stop chasing money and do the right thing.
It took me 20 years. It took me 20 years as an entrepreneur to figure out that, family came first, freedom, and money came second or third. And granted, I have to go to church and I have to, give credit to the Lord. And not a lot of people do that. They'll just say, religion, what? But to me, that's all part of everything that I've created. I have to give praise to God, and I have to have my family involved. And both of us have big families. I mean, I have 6 kids, and I think you have what, 6, 7?
Six kids. Yeah, 2 grandsons.
And I have grandkids. You have grandkids, and so we look at that, and I think we look at our businesses different now than we did when we were younger, because there's more concern. I think we're concerned about our family. We're concerned about our community. We're concerned about our vendors and our staff, and I think that we have to have kind of a balance.
As far as religion and business, and yes, you're right. As I've gotten older, some of the lessons I've learned. I read a book, I think it was Dave Ramsey recommended. It's called The Monk and the Merchant. Just like how nowadays we look down at plumbers, electricians, and we need to change that. Mm-hmm. In the church and in that realm, sometimes we hold the priest or the pastor up on a pedestal, mm-hmm. and the CEO, right, the capitalist, is greedy and committing sins. And the monk and the merchant really balanced that out and showed me that the merchant plays a huge role in the church. The preacher or the pastor or the priest, whatever your church mm-hmm. calls that person, needs to be supported financially in order to continue to increase their influence and spreading the good word. And that's the responsibility of the merchant. So we do have and I know that's exactly what God's given me. He's given me this ability to create businesses, to create revenue. And then my responsibility is to make sure I tithe, as all good businesses do, to support the church. Mm-hmm. That's my role. And it's not more or less important than what the pastor is preaching on the pulpit on Sunday.
Right.
And that makes me feel good. That's an honorable way and a good steward of money and being a good capitalist. I love capitalism, and that's the way, that's our responsibility. That nobody wants to talk about that side of it, right? Nobody wants to talk about the side where we support a lot of community causes and taking care of tithing to churches and the kids we take care of at Christmas. We're not greedy, right? You can look at the paper, you can listen to what the media says about the CEOs and the golden parachutes and the different things. And I'm telling you that if you look at Elon Musk, they say he's worth $168 billion or whatever it is. That's the companies that he owns. He's not taking that money home every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, people on Main Street really understand that. If you have a $7 million a year business, trust me, the CEO or the owner is not making $7 million a year. They're just trying to get a little bit of that money to stick to them as the money comes in and the money goes out.
Yeah.
And it's tough.
Yeah. And I have people that say, "Hey, Rob, you wrote all these books. You must be a millionaire." I'm like, "What? No." And I don't even know if I'd want to be a millionaire or classified as a millionaire because, I help so many people. And it's not that I do this for the money or helping people. I do it because it's my passion. I just love to do it. And just like you love to help people and run a business and even when I'm on vacation, I'm still connected. I still work. It's just I can't stop. You know, yeah, sure. I take some time away from the business and enjoy time with my family, but my brain's always thinking about how do I improve the business? How do I make this customer happier? I think as entrepreneurs, we never turn it off fully, really.
No, and that's why I'm not a subscriber of the work-life balance. I enjoy what I do, and everyone, you deserve. Everyone needs their freedom, and I just think it's up to the individual. And I work when I'm at home. I spend a lot of time with the family and with the kids, but I'm always connected and always looking to try to help customers and help team members.
Yeah, and I know you're an avid reader. You dropped some names of books and you even read some of mine. I mean that I'm honored. But do you constantly try to improve? And are you always reading, or are what?
Yeah,
Or you watch more TV than read? Or?
that's a good question. Leaders are readers. I fully subscribe to that. One of our core values is we learn and grow every day. And my life was transformed. My business was transformed the day I picked up a book and I read Michael Gerber's The E Myth,
Mm-hmm.
about the concept of getting out of your business so you can work on your business. That I had a brother-in-law who's a little bit younger than me begged me for 2 years before that to read the book, and I'm like, I don't read books. I don't read books. That's not really my thing. And finally, I broke down and read that book 2 years after I should have, and it transformed me, and it transformed my business. It transformed my family, and that's when we started to scale our business.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have more than I deserve, and the only way I feel that I can give back besides through tithing is to inspire other people to invest in their own personal growth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing we focus on with our team is we invest in them, whether it's leadership or whether it's anything. I encourage and I inspire. And in our onboarding process, we talk about this, that I don't care what you do. If you want to read, you want to invest in, TED Talks or attend seminars or anything you can possibly do to become a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today. And it's not for selfish reasons. We understand and we're realistic that employees aren't going to be around forever, right? Our team members, what is the average span now? 2.5 years, 3 years? But that's okay. But while they're here for 2 or 3 years, I want them to be awesome versions of themselves. And most importantly, I want them to look back at their time with Atlanta Compressor and say, you know what? While I was connected with that company, I learned a lot of great things and I continued on. And I was able to pass that down to my kids and inspire personal growth in my community and my family. And that to me is my personal mission of helping. And my favorite stories are, we have one particular team member that started with us really young as a technician, and he's worked his way up in the company, but he started to invest in personal growth. And I've watched him over the years, younger, in debt, having a lot of financial struggles, right? Always coming in and needed more money because he had all these things going on in his life. But then he started to invest in personal growth and started to read Total Money Makeover and different books on financial responsibility. And he got out of debt. He paid off all of his debt. He got married, bought a house, has a child, has good savings, has bought up and paid off his truck and different things like that. It's incredible to see his growth. And that makes me so happy to see my team members become better versions of themselves. And I'm realistic, and like I said, I know he's not going to be here forever, but I want him to look back on his time with our company and smile.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to pass that along to his family and his kids, and know that started at my time with Atlanta Compressor, and it made me a better version of myself.
Yeah, I look back at some of the bosses that I've had over the years, and now I've been self-employed for 27 years. But when I was young, my first job, I worked as a bagger in a grocery store, and Mr. Herr was just this awesome, elderly gentleman who grew up in the grocery business. He insisted that everybody wear a tie, but I look back now on some of the values that he instilled in me, and I still use them today, and this is going back, 40 some years, and now he's long been, passed, but, he had an influence on every single employee that came through, that grocery store. And I think that when people look back, or employees look back on you, they're going to get that same, that the same feeling, that, hey, Morty instilled all this stuff in me. I need to pass that on to my son, my daughter, and to me that's what a true leader does.
That's my dream. Stephen Covey says, "Start with the end in mind." In Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and he literally talks about starting with your funeral. And how do you want to be remembered at your funeral?
Hmm.
And I came up with another personal goal, which is I want to have the biggest attended funeral in my county that I live in. Right, that's my goal. I want people to show up and to say exactly that my time on Earth was spent helping people and become better versions of themselves, and they were able to impact more and more people in a positive way. And I hope that we're able to do that.
Yeah. So how does my audience get a hold of you? I know some of them probably won't need compressor service, but hopefully down the road you write a book that just helps them in some way, or they just can stop and say hi.
Yeah, I am going to be writing a book, and I already know what the concept's going to be because I started off as a blue collar guy. I grew up in Detroit. My father was a mechanic. My grandfather owned his own HVAC company, and I grew up in the trades. I went to trade school. I became a technician in our industry, and that's how I worked my way up. And so I transformed myself into a true CEO running a company, and or a micro CEO. That's a term I come up with, a micro CEO, the small company. But that was an incredible journey, and that's what I'd like to write my book about, is my transformation from a technician to a CEO. So that'll happen one day. But the best way to get a hold of me is on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, so just look me up, Morty Hodge. I'm always on there pretty much every day, talking to people and seeing how I can help other entrepreneurs and potential customers.
And I'll put the link below. And this was great. And anybody, please, get a hold of Morty, because he posts some really awesome stuff on LinkedIn. And I'm just honored to know him. And this is what makes Morty an e-hero. He's always looking out to improve himself, his community, his community, and make his staff, not just employees, but friends and colleagues and advisors as well. And so check him out on LinkedIn. I want to thank everybody, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.